at 6:30 p.m. on March 4th. If you would like to, you can do the Pledge of Allegiance with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, everybody. So the first item on our agenda is to call to order or enter into the FY27 budget public hearing. So I'll turn to Amy for a motion.
Thank you. I move to open the fiscal year 2027 budget hearing.
I'll second that. Is there any discussion? All right, so let's take a vote. Amy Cohen?
Yes.
Jackie?
Yes.
Jillian?
Yes.
Lindsay?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
John Doerr?
Yes.
Sharon?
Yes.
And myself, yes. All right, everybody. So we are in the public hearing for the budget, which is a requirement of our regional agreement. And so at this time, Kirk, would you like to share any information with the public about the budget thus far? Or Ross?
Excuse me, I was muted there. Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, we have a short presentation to give this evening. I am joined by Assistant Superintendent Ross Mulcairn. And why don't we get right to the presentation? Mr. Mulcairn, let's bring that up. Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Mulcairn, go ahead.
Thank you, Superintendent Downing. As always, we'll start our presentation with just walking you through what we're going to be doing for the public's viewing relative to the hearing tonight. So Superintendent Downing will talk about our why, equality and equity in budgeting. I will walk through the FY27 budget, and then we'll just sort of give the summary and next steps, which includes the school committee review of the latest budget iteration, update number 3, later this evening.
Thank you. And as I shared earlier, I did recently have some dental work done this afternoon, so have some patience with me as I work through this. In NRSD, our mission is to inspire and challenge all learners to realize their unique potential and become active contributors to their community. Next. And that builds upon the vision to be your best self, pave your path, and impact the world. This is the work that we try to live every day. And it's through our core values of academic achievement, personal growth, voice, choice, and agency, lifelong learning, a safe, caring, and inclusive community, through collaborative partnerships, innovation, and a sense of belonging for all. And when we say for all, we mean each and every. So when we put these things together, we have our theory of action to say through communication systems and protocols, clearly aligned and articulated curricula, innovative practices, shared leadership, equitable opportunities and outcomes for all, and effective resource allocation, we will inspire and challenge all learners to realize their unique potential in becoming active contributors to the community. So let's talk about that resource allocation. And that is steeped in 2 principles, one of equality and one of equity. Our equality is our per pupil standards as we look at administrative guidance and dean standards across our school, as well as class size standards, intending not to exceed at the beginning of the year 24 students per classroom, 22 students in grades kindergarten through 2nd grade. Equity is more complex and is based upon the needs of each and every student in our district and is oftentimes dictated by the specialized plans students possess. So that would include students that have IEPs or 504 plans, our English learners, our Title I students, but students also get supports through our multi-tiered systems of support as they need it. Mr. Mulcairn.
Thank you, Superintendent Downing. As we near the end of our budget season, we are currently at the public hearing for the public that's watching this evening. Obviously, our work begins well before that first date of sharing the timeline with the school committee, and we do a significant amount of internal work before presenting our first iteration of the budget publicly in the middle of January at the workshop. Since that time, which has almost been 2 months, we've continued to shape and refine the budget based on a number of factors that I will summarize in a little bit. As you can see, as of tonight, the overall increase on the operating budget is 3.65, which is the second lowest over the last 5 fiscal years. We believe that this iteration of the budget will be the one moving forward for school committee vote next week. So as the public can see here, this is sort of the summary of the work that's been done. Budget update number 3 will be shared with the school committee in just a moment after this public hearing. But budget update number 1 came a little bit later this year as the governor's budget came out just a couple of hours before that, the meeting at the end of January. So in the beginning of February, we applied the governor's budget and the state aid numbers. We made some minor salary adjustments, updated the insurance with the Maya range. We always use the cap of the range, and then we applied some special education adjustments that Superintendent Downing and our Director of Student Services, Roanne DeManch, sort of reviewed in detail and walked through with the committee. Then we also had our second budget update where we applied the verbal rate that we received from Maya on our health insurance. We also reduced proposed kindergarten sections, not current kindergarten sections, due to enrollment, and we updated some other reductions and increased some offsets. We'll present a little bit more of decrease to the budget and some revenue updates that are all very minor to the committee this evening, as we are at sort of the finality of this budget season. So a lot of what draws the public here to view, whether right now or the recording, is the town assessments, which are made up of 3 major components. The minimum local contribution and the variable assessment make up the operating budget, which is what we're discussing. But there's obviously the debt assessment, and that's certainly on people's minds as we move forward with construction on the new innovative and state-of-the-art Nashoba Regional High School right behind the current high school. So just a quick detour from the operating just to walk through the debt assessment, which I always encourage people to take a look at our explainer videos that are educationally helpful for those who are curious about what is the process in the budget and how does the regional agreement impact the work that we do and impact the budget. So these are all slides that were presented back in December. We talked about them with our joint FinCom and advisories a couple of weeks ago. But essentially, these are all the principal and interest payments that are due in FY27. There's the link to the presentation. As I shared at that time, these are the percentages on capital debt per the regional agreement based on that October 1 date of enrollment at the high school from each of the 3 towns. Someone who's watching may say, hey, I think the enrollment at the high school is higher than that. This obviously would not consider school choice enrollment seats that are at the high school, as those are from other towns, and there's a different fiscal mechanism. So total capital debt against those percentages, this information has been shared with our town administrators. We've had reach out from their boards and their committees on this. So everyone is prepped and prepared, and they'll get their official notice on debt assessment in just a couple of weeks. So lastly, just some sketch notes, go over the notes on borrowing. Every time we think about new borrowing, we work with our OPM team with a cash flow. We talk about our needs with our financial advisors, and we think about where we're at with our last borrow and reimbursements that come in from the MSBA program. We have no new debt expected that would impact FY27 assessments. We wouldn't borrow until late calendar 26 or early calendar 27, but we'll continue to monitor our outflows and inflows on this project. But that is our sort of estimate on debt, and just again for the public's review and consumption. Going back to the operating budget, just a reminder to look at those videos and when you're curious about how the budget comes together. So the 2 main factors are that minimum local contribution, which is set by the Commonwealth and based on foundation enrollment. When they They take our enrollment and hold it up against their sort of calculating factors of need. We are then dictated as to what the minimum local contribution is for each town relative to yearly appropriations from those towns to the school district. So over time, this is how this is shaped, and I always call attention to sort of a narrowing of a gap. As you can see, the three towns, Stowe in blue to Bolton in yellow, that gap has narrowed over time, as well as Lancaster's gap between Bolton and Stowe has also narrowed over time. So what you're seeing is a sort of equalizing of the minimum local contributions across the towns. We see the most movement on Lancaster, as their equalization has not been capped yet, as Bolton and Stowe have been. So when we get to the variable assessment, then we're taking a look at that 5-year rolling average of enrollment across the district for each of the three towns. So these are students who are in our seats on October 1 from each of the three towns. And each year we publish this as part of the budget workbook, but obviously through all of these materials. And you can see under the FY27 enrollment counts, that's the current count. And if you do the rolling average, you see those percentages circled below. Both Bolton and Stowe went down a little bit, and Lancaster went up just under 0.5% on that calculation from the foundation enrollment. So here's again what does that look like? So the total number of students from each of the towns enrolled on October 1. You can see how this has all come together, and here's that narrowing again. We have almost equal numbers now over the last couple of years in each of our towns for our foundation enrollment. So there's the impact on the variable assessment. Again, you can see this narrowing as these factors work together. So when you combine the minimum local contribution and the variable assessments, that's the total operating assessment for each town. And you can see sort of what the share of each assessment looks like in terms of the variable assessment and the minimum contribution. And here's the totals presented and the increases for each town on each one of those. Again, we are carrying a 365, but when that's distributed as part of the variable assessment and the minimum local contribution, you can see each of the percent changes for the towns. And just to summarize, our next steps are in a few moments after this public hearing. We'll step into budget update number 3 with the school committee. School committee will have their vote by statute and by regional agreement next week at this time. And then after that, Superintendent Downing and I will be presenting and being part of the Bolton, Lancaster, and Stowe town meetings. So at that, I guess at this time, Madam Chair, I'll stop and for any questions or comments from the public, I would assume.
Thanks, Ross. I really appreciate that. So I'm just scrolling through here, and correct me if I'm wrong. I don't see anybody from the public present.
I'd cross-check that as well, Madam Chair.
I see one member.
What do you see?
And Needle is in the office in the meeting.
Yeah.
Oh, hello.
Hi, Anne.
Hey, can you hear me?
Anne, you, of course, yeah.
But
Anne,
no, I don't have any questions, so thank you for asking.
Thank you.
And Anne, as you know, always reach out to myself or Bridget if there's any follow-up that's needed.
Oh, I sure will. Thank you for that.
You bet.
Whereas we are about 15 minutes into the budget hearing and we do not have any members from the public yet, I don't assume anybody is going to join us. And just for reference, the budget hearing is for the public. We are going to, after the hearing, open up a school committee meeting where the school committee members can deliberate. So there's time for that, everyone. All right, everybody. At this point, I'll turn to Amy Cohen for a motion to call the budget hearing to a close.
Sure thing. I move to close the fiscal year 2027 budget hearing at
I'll second
6:46
that.
p.m.
Oh, thank you.
Mhm.
I'll second that. Any discussion? All right, so let's take a vote. Amy?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Jackie?
Yes.
Jillian?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Matt? Lindsay?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Shondor?
Yes.
And Sharon?
Yes.
Excellent. All right, everybody, so that brings us back to our agenda. And the next item on the agenda is fiscal operation. Well, I actually see that we have a little bit of public comment here. I have no notification of any public comments that anybody wanted to put forth. Oh, I'm sorry. That was actually in the other one. Ignore me. So we're back in the regular meeting now. We have, Alita, do you want me to actually call to order again the regular meeting?
I don't believe you need to.
Okay, good. Therefore, I won't. So, guys, this meeting is really just for the public, but we do like to open or go back to the regular business meeting so that if anybody from the committee has any questions based upon anything new that Ross has presented, you have that opportunity. So the next item is the finance and operation section of the agenda and the FY27 budget. So do any members of the committee have any questions?
Madam Chair, if I may interrupt for a moment.
Sure.
There was a slight drop from the budget number from last week to this week, and I would ask that we call up Mr. Mulcairn to explain that.
Okay, go right ahead, Ross.
Thank you. Let me just share.
And I'm going to say, I'm going to ask your forgiveness, everybody. I'm going to go off screen, but I'm fully here. But Ross, take it away.
Thank you. So we've had a bit of an update, and I say bit, I mean the smallest increments. But again, we look to, see have we crossed all of our sort of bridges relative to the budget. So what you're going to see this evening, thank you for bearing with me as I slid through those slides quickly, is just our final update. We don't believe that we'll have another update next week as you are presented with the budget for a vote. But I do want to let you know about a couple of changes that we've seen since last week. So obviously with the check-in on the timeline, I'll give you a quick review of where we were at. We do have our E&D certification, talk about an expense and a revenue adjustment, and then I'll let you know the updated budget and the town assessments. You saw them at the end of the public hearing, but I just want to give the opportunity for the school committee to see those again and ask any questions. And then obviously our next steps are the vote and town meetings. So here we are this evening. We talked about where we were at. This is the second to last opportunity for the school committee to see the budget and our second to last public session on this budget relative to school committee meetings. This is where we were at the end of last meeting, our second update. So as you may recall, we made some adjustments and we were slightly under that 3.75. So we did hit our mark on trying to continue to get the budget down. So before we step in, I do want to update the committee because this is always one of our checkpoints where our excess and deficiency certification is. Again, this functions like free cash flow with a town or a city. We got our balance certified last Friday at $2,437,485. I put the last 5 historicals down below for your viewing. And just some quick recall that there's a Massachusetts general law statutory cap of 5%. Anything that would come in over 5% must be reused to reduce assessments. Our FY26, so I call it FY26 certification, is 3.18% of our operating and capital budget and the FY27 appropriation as it is set, and our recommendation as the district administration is $1,174,625, which is level to where it was adjusted back in October when we received the additional Chapter 70 money that came in. E&D was reduced to keep the budget level to where it was voted.
Mr. Mulcairn, I'm sure it is a simple typo. We see 437,000 in the top line, and in the FY26 box, it says 427,000. So just put a stamp on it for our committee. Which one is the correct number?
It is the 437.
So we'll correct that in the slide deck as that's posted publicly.
Yep. Thank you for catching that.
So forgive me. Thank you, Mr. Mulcairn. Please.
Yeah, and I'm gonna double check it for the committee. I don't know if we want to stop and see if there's any questions on E&D.
Sorry, guys. Yeah, anybody have any questions about that certification?
Not about the certification per se.
Yeah, Scott, do you have a question about E&D generally?
Yeah, this is just the one area of the budget. I mean, first, I just want to say, thank you again to the administration for doing such a great job of putting the budget together over the last few months. And I want to apologize for not bringing up this concern sooner. I guess missing the couple meetings ago kind of threw off my timing. But use of E&D is the one area within the budget that I am unhappy about, for lack of a better term. We last fall, we as a committee agreed that we were going to reduce our use of E&D by $200,000 a year. And yet this budget comes in with the using E&D at the exact same level as the current fiscal year. And so I'm just wondering, why we abandoned that concept so quickly, why our E&D use hasn't come down in the current budget.
So, Mr. Powell, I will address that to only say last year in our voted budget, the budget that went to the towns in May, it was a $1.4 million E&D appropriation. And it's when we got the budget adjustment from the final budget of the year that in the fall, we made the correction to bring it back down to, I believe it was $1,192,000. And so right now, the Chapter 70 aid that's in the governor's budget is $75 per pupil. We are continuing to advocate and looking for our Senate leaders to increase that amount, at which time we'll likely be coming back to the committee next fall to entertain essentially the same exercise that we did this year when we had to we reduced our E&D to make up that additional revenue from the state.
So in essence, we're crossing our fingers that the state aid goes up and we can use that extra revenue to reduce our E&D use.
No, we were using 1.4 million as the baseline and backed it up $208,000 from the voted March budget to the voted budget this year.
Right, but that doesn't change the fact that, I understand the mechanics. I remember the budget. I remember the votes, and I even remember referencing the reduction when we actually made the decision to reduce our E&D use. And I guess it was ambiguous about what our intentions were with respect to the fiscal year 27 budget relative to the use of E&D in the fiscal 26 budget. So, I guess, like I say, we're effectively hoping that the state aid comes in higher. And if it does, then we'll use that additional state aid to reduce our E&D use.
Well, I'm not hoping for that. I am saying that would be the benefit if we did that. We're applying the methodology as I best understood it. We appropriated 1.4 in our original budget vote last year, and so we reduced it a little over 200K this year. So we're not abandoning that practice at all, because had that increase not happened, this is the number that we would have been coming forward with for the FY27 budget. So I think it's in line with that practice.
Okay.
Scott, your comment is noted, though. That recommendation is on the books, and we are trying to get off that hamster wheel, I think is the idea.
Okay,
are there any other questions? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, and I apologize, Madam Chair. I think I was going to say the same thing, but I'll certainly yield the floor to you.
Yeah, I mean, feel free to add to whatever has been said already, Ross.
No, what I was going to say, if there's no other comments, we can certainly move forward. But to reiterate your point about the hamster wheel, when we're looking at E&D, we certainly want to back it up. It may take longer to back it up, but the fact is if we added or reduced, another $200,000 from E&D as a revenue, likely we would have to take that from the operating expense side versus having to shop another $200,000 of variable assessment to the towns. This is the complicated part of the end of the budget as we look to our town partners to understand their position. Certainly they're not setting our budget, but we work to try to be good partners and understand their position fiscally.
Thanks, Ross.
Yeah.
Anything else on E&D? All right, I don't think so. So I think you can keep going.
Great, thank you. So we have a small expense adjustment. So as we always sort of try to say, have we looked at everything? Is there anything else? And by no means is $48,000 of reduction really going to sell this budget one way or the other. I don't believe it does. However, it was worth looking into because when I looked at our unemployment insurance, which is our fee that we pay to have unemployment insurance, any deductibles we have to pay, and any other charges that we might have from Maya relative to unemployment insurance during the year, you can see on the left, and you can see it visually on the graph, but we went through this sort of 2-year period about 10 years ago of being over budget on that. And then it sort of leveled out a little bit, but then the district began to budget higher. You'll note that the higher budget number came in FY20, but it continued for 21, 22, and 23. And then sort of when writing my beginning budgets, not wanting to go over budget in that line, we continued to sort of make an incremental adjustment as we looked at all of our insurance. We're doing really well on this. I spoke with our insurance rep that handles this. So what we've done is we reduced that budget by about $48,000, bringing that budget line to 75. It was set at 123. I feel comfortable with this. Didn't get any feedback from the insurance rep relative to this. So we're bringing down our expense reduction by about $48,000. We don't have any other expense reductions on the table this evening. We are making an update to our revenue side of the budget. So again, any increase on revenue at this point would change the variable assessments, as would an expense reduction. So at the first budget update, we presented and we notified the school committee that there was concern relative to federal changes that would impact Medicaid revenue. We had previously in other budgets set Medicaid revenue at $250,000, and that had trended just fine. But to be conservative, we brought that down to 125, which was 50% of, again, what we had it for this year. So in my conversation with our Medicaid billing consultant, we've updated that estimate just to go up to 150,000. I think they're cautious to say don't use this for a budget number, but based on how things are trending and the fact that what they feel like we'll get reimbursed in FY27, we're putting 150 into the budget. So that does continue to reduce the variable assessments as that shifts the balancing of the budget to those numbers. So where this puts the budget overall, so the overall operating budget only comes down that $48,000 to be an overall increase of 3.65, but it brings down the actual variable assessments just a little bit more because of that increase in revenue on our side versus the variable assessments to the towns. So you can see the updated numbers here this evening. Madam Chair, before I talk about next steps of the budget, I think it'd probably be prudent to stop here and ask if there's any questions, if that would be allowable.
Yes, for sure. Any questions on those Small changes? I'm not hearing anyone. So I guess you can, that was a great explanation, Ross. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, you're very welcome.
No questions. Yep. Keep
Yeah.
going.
Yeah. So obviously where this puts us is that's, with all certainty, the budget that you're going to see next week for the school committee vote. And then again, as I said in the public hearing, Superintendent Downing and I will then be attending town meetings, culminating with a beautiful Saturday morning in Stowe at their town meeting.
All right. So everyone, that brings us to the conclusion of Ross's presentation. Are there any additional questions, final questions? Feel free to jump in.
I have one, Leah.
Oh, go ahead, Amy.
Thank you. I didn't see this in the presentation, but I was looking at the other item in the meeting materials with kind of the, I guess, pulling from the spreadsheets, the budget update.
Yeah, our budget workbook. Yep.
Yeah. So I'm on page 22 of that. It's showing a breakdown between the operating budget assessments and the capital debt assessments.
Yep.
I just wanted to get confirmation on what I'm seeing and how I'm understanding it. So it looks like the capital debt assessments are changing this year. And in some towns, like for Bolton, it went down very slightly by 0.8%. In Lancaster, it went up by 2.67%. And in Stowe, it went down by 2%. And that's just based on the enrollment at the high school, right? So it's like whatever the enrollment at the high school is, that determines the percentage that your town gets assessed of the bonds that are out there at this point in time.
That is 100% accurate, Ms. Cohen. Okay. And I would further reiterate, it shows the sort of variability because we're not taking on any new debt. We have some debt that's ticking down just a little bit as it comes to the end of its life. But those other major borrows for the high school, we're not adding anymore. But you can see because of the variability of how many students are enrolled in the high school on October 1 from each of the three towns, how that will impact the next year's debt assessment. It's not a 5-year rolling average that gets smoothed out like our foundation enrollment that is applied to the variable assessment. Those are the rules of the agreed upon regional agreement, and that's what we use.
Okay, thank you. I just want to make sure I was interpreting that correctly.
100% accurate.
Thanks, Amy. Any other questions? I'm not seeing any. So guys, as you know, our next meeting next Wednesday is going to be the actual vote on the budget, so you can prepare for that. Obviously, this has been a long process and we're all very familiar with all of this. So I hope nobody interprets the lack of questions as a lack of understanding. I think the opposite is true. We're all very, very well informed, and we can thank Kirk and his entire team for making that happen. So thanks, guys. All right, everybody. I'm going to turn to Amy for a motion to adjourn.
Thank you. I move to adjourn the regular meeting of the school committee at 7:04 p.m.
I'll second that. Any discussion? No, none. So Amy, for you?
Yes.
Yes. Jackie?
Yes.
Jillian?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Lindsay?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Shondor?
Yes.
And Sharon?
Yes.